dividing by powers of 10. Thank you, team. I'm going to read through this example. They show some really cool things about what happens when we multiply by the factors of 10. So if I have 7.24 times 10, and the important thing is to notice that 7.24 becomes 72.4. The point moves one place because there's 1 0. And so when we're multiplying by powers of 10, our numbers are getting bigger. Again, when we multiply by 100, there moves two places to the right because there are 2 zeros in 100. And then if we multiply it by 1,000, it moves 3 places because there are 3 zeros. So let's go ahead and try this out down below. So I'm going to move numbers in this column one space because there is 1 0. So 0.352, I'm going to move that decimal to make this number bigger, and I'm going to move it just one place, and I put it right there. So this really becomes 3.52. In this column, there are 2 zeros, so I'm moving it 2 places. So 0.352, when I move the decimal 2 places, 1, 2 goes right there, it really becomes 35.2. Now if I use 1,000, I see 3 zeros in this column. So all the decimal places will be moved 3 zeros. So 0.352, and I move it 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3 equals 352. So the question comes in, what do we do when we run out of numbers and we need to put a decimal place? So let's check out this one. I'm moving the decimal place to 24.6, and I'm moving the decimal place 3 places. 1, 2, 3. Then in these spaces go filler zeros. So this really becomes 24,600. Numbers, and that's what we're doing for numbers 1 through 18. On this number, on number 9, I move it 2 zeros, 2 decimal places. 1, 2, and it becomes 3. Number 13, I'm moving it 3 spaces. So 1, 2, 3. I know zeros go into those spaces, so this becomes 45,100. Now we're going to do similar things when we're dividing by decimals. Now we're moving it to the left, so we're making the numbers smaller. And that's important to notice, that our numbers become smaller as we do these examples. So I have 1 0, and I move my decimal place up. And if you notice that the number becomes smaller by 1, it moved really just to the left. 2 zeros, and I get 2 decimal spaces. See how it changed 2 spaces? And then 3 zeros, it changes 3 spaces. So 3 places to the left because of 3 zeros, 2 places to the left because there are 2 zeros, and 1 space because there is 1. Okay, so let's try this out. We're going to move it 1 space to the left. We're making the number smaller. So remember that. So I'm going to have 25.43, and I move my decimal space to make my number smaller, and I move it 1 because I have 1 0. So it becomes 2.543. On the hundreds, I have 2 decimal places. So I'm moving this 2 spaces, 25.43, and I move it to 1, 2, and that gives me 2, 5, 4, 3. And lastly, we're going to do it by 1,000. And you can keep going with as many zeros as there are, but this one has 3. So I'm going to move this one 3. So I have 25.43. And now I'm moving it 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. I have an empty space, and in that empty space, I'm going to put a 0. So this becomes 0.0254. And again, this is what we're doing for numbers 1 through 19. So let's go ahead and try number 13. I'm making my number smaller by 3 spaces. So 1, 2, 3. Put my decimal there, and zeros go there. So I'm going to have 0.00428. I make my decimal smaller on number 11 by 2 spaces. So 1, 2. Put my decimal there. No filler zeros, so I just write it. So go ahead and give this a try and come see me during office hours if you need.